In other news, Tel Aviv is the top gay travel destination in the world, according to the executive director Arthur Slepian of the Wider Bridge organization, dedicated to strengthening bonds between the American LGBT communities and Israel. The group was instrumental in bringing the first ever LGBT Leadership Global Conference, which opens in Tel Aviv next week and will culminate in a weekend of gay pride, expected to attract more than 150,000 participants. Slepian spoke to IBA's Ari O'Sullivan about how the group was able to overcome opposition from those seeking to boycott Israel to bring hundreds of the community leaders from around the world.
We are leading a global LGBT leadership conference. It's the first time ever that such a conference has been held in Israel. And the idea is to bring leaders from around the world to come here to talk about how we can more closely work with each other, and also to highlight both the successes and the challenges of the Israeli LGBT community and the way in which the LGBT community around the world can learn from that experience.
Israel is facing a lot of boycott attempts, and rock concerts are being canceled because of this. What were the challenges you had trying to bring this conference to Tel Aviv?
There are people who think that we should be boycotting Israel, and there are people who think that this work is in some sense some kind of pinkwashing campaign, that we are somehow trying to sort of cover up the occupation or Israel's human rights violations by promoting Israel as a gay-friendly place. But the Israeli LGBT community was not the rights that they have and the progress they've made was not just handed to them by the government as part of some kind of branding or tourism campaign. We are proud of what the community here has achieved sort of by struggling individually and collectively for their rights, and we think that's a story that is worth sharing with the rest of the world. And there are still many challenges here, just as there are challenges everywhere. There is still homophobia here, just as there is homophobia around the world. So we think it's important to have that dialogue and to bring the community together. But for Israel and for the LGBT community here to be able to be proud of what they've accomplished and to be a central part of the global conversation.
This conference is being held in the Middle East. Are there going to be any Arabs or Palestinians coming?
We will have participants. We will have Israeli Arabs participating in the conference. We will have a French Muslim leader participating in the conference by video because he's living in France on asylum and can't come to the U.S. We have, among the participants in the conference is a Nigerian LGBT activist, one of the leaders of Argentina's LGBT community. And there will be some folks from the Israeli Arab, from the Israeli Jews community. There will be a number of folks and from the Israeli Ethiopian community. One of the issues that we really do want to highlight is the challenge that every country faces when we're struggling for LGBT rights, of dealing in particular with people who are minorities in more than one way, and people who are minorities within minorities. And so that's true here in Israel. There's a growing LGBT community within the Ethiopian population in Israel, as well as in the Arab sector, as well as in the ultra-Orthodox religious sector. And I think each country around the world has its own challenges, but we think there's a lot that can be learned from looking at the Israeli experience and from helping Israel look at the experience of around the world. As
an American, how does Israel fare on the world stage of gay rights?
So Israel is in many ways ahead of the U.S. And in some ways behind. It has been okay in Israel to be out and be in the army since 1993. And in the U.S., we managed to accomplish that in 2012. And the Israeli Knesset passed non-discrimination laws for the LGBT community in the workplace in 1992. We are still struggling to pass that kind of legislation in the United States. So in a lot of the legal framework, Israel is actually ahead of our country. Of course, in the United States now we have made a lot of success around the issues of marriage and marriage equality, and that's still more of a struggle here, I think because of the way in which the religious community has some control over the institutions of marriage and family life here in this country.
Do you think Israel could be more of a gay destination?
Well, I think Tel Aviv is already considered the #1 gay travel destination in the world, and that's something that we think the country can be proud of. We think it's great that that Tel Aviv is a city where even more so than some of the places in the U.S. like New York or San Francisco, you just kind of walk out on the street and you're in a gay place. There aren't that many gay bars in Tel Aviv, but you know that you are in a gay city. So we think it's really important for the rest of the world to come here and see that, but also to see that it's not just Tel Aviv, that really the issue of LGBT rights is expanding across the country.
In other